In 2025, is the gap year dead? Hello and welcome to the Boostara Podcast. I am your host, James. On the Boostara Podcast, we speak to leaders in business and education and uncover the truths and insights from their amazing experiences. At Boostara, we help businesses boost growth, cut costs, and gain better business insights through AI implementations. If you would like to learn more, type the word growth into the comments below and I will be sure to reach out. Today, I feel like I want to be on a tropical island from the name of Nigel's company. So Nigel Scott from Think Pacific. Hello and welcome, Nigel.
Thank you very much, James.
Whereabouts are you joining us from today, Nigel?
I'm not in Fiji, unfortunately, or Bali or Thailand. It is grey and rainy outside. I'm in Warrington in the north of England.
Well, we can pretend, right? We can pretend that's sand behind you. We're on the beach. Nigel, I think everyone will be intrigued from the the name of the organisation. Think Pacific. Give us a bit of an introduction, Nigel. What's your journey and your spark in founding Think Pacific?
Yeah, well, Think Pacific was founded by some really good friends of mine, Simon and Harry, and then I got involved quite early on, really. The premise was that Think Pacific was going to be doing travel differently by focusing on doing it really, really, really well in Fiji in the most ethical, sustainable and regenerative way. Something that was done in partnership with the local people, particularly in partnership with the Ministry of Health in the beginning, to deliver unique travel programs in the most rural areas of Fiji, in traditional villages, into areas where other organisations haven't gone or didn't have the depth of knowledge and experience to provide programmes. We created in the early days volunteer projects in some of the most remote locations in the world, kind of 5-6 hours out on little boats from Fiji into tiny islands. We take groups of gap year students, gap year volunteers to go and work and live on behalf of the Fijian Ministry of Youth and Sports, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, to do volunteer projects that were teaching, sports coaching, building health clinics, kindergartens. That's how it started, in partnership and from support from the University of Leeds. So, like I say, Simon and Harry were the original founders, and then my journey. I came in and met Simon when the organisation was about three years in, and I walked into a room in Leeds and ended up living in Fiji for the best part of 2.5 years after that. Kind of the rest is history. After I met Simon, but the premise is an organisation that is focused on being really small and personable with hugely mission-led vision. To do travel in the most regenerative way possible that makes the biggest impact to local people, local communities, but also the young people that come on our programs. They can have transformational experiences through really authentic cultural exchange and sensitive approaches to learning a different way of life.
That's an amazing vision. I think that you've put into people's minds listening. I guess I want to ask, the kind of starting of Think Pacific. I mentioned gap year at the beginning. What was it? The idea of young people going on a gap year, was that the kind of the kind of direction of the idea that it wanted to go, and I suppose how has that changed? How has that changed over time? Our youth, decades ago is I think very different to how young people might view a gap year now.
Yeah, and I'm just smiling and laughing because it has changed so much, and what feels like a short space of time is actually, I've been involved for over 15 years now, and when Simon and Harry originally started the organisation, it was from their own gap year experiences, and I was heading off on my own experience, and that was very much round the world tours back in the day. I'm going to have a year before I go to university, and I'm going to go off for a year. And the likes of STA Travel, who are no longer around, you'd kind of just walk in and ask for a round the world ticket, please, and they'd book you a couple of different trips. That has changed quite a lot. But Think Pacific was created to be like I say, the most ethical, sustainable, and responsible version of a type of program you would do within that world tour. But it has changed massively. So the journey that we had was that we were a small gap year organisation in 2009 to kind of push back against some of the big, huge corporate volunteer organisations that did lots and lots of countries. We were just saying, well, we're doing it really well in one country if you want to come with us. And then in 2013, Leeds Beckett University knocked on the door, which is quite ironic, really. You know, we were born at the University of Leeds, at their careers department, and then Leeds Beckett knocked on the door and said, "Would you like to take a group of students?" And there was a bit of a moment there for us of, yes, we will, and we should also look to see if lots of other universities would like to take groups. So we saw this shift really from 2009, where it was just the norm to take gap years, to students, and ultimately how we've developed over the years and evolved is we're ultimately an international education provider now. We were a gap year provider of programs, and now we're 90%, 95% student-led programs where the gap years have come down massively, and it's more about us supporting universities, colleges and schools to do programs as extracurricular, as experiential learning, and we're seeing more people have these experiences through schools, college or university, and then look to do something after, more like a group tour or a group experience. The 2009 days have changed. But did you have something similar yourself? Did you do
I never went on a gap year. I went straight to university, and then I did move abroad. It wasn't a gap year; it was straight away to work. But it's not something that I experienced. But and I guess for me, the gap year, if you were to ask me what does a gap year mean to you, I would say it means backpacking, traveling around the world, partying, getting lost. Making mistakes and going from country to country on a budget. That would be my sort of take on it. And I guess the original question, is the gap year dead? Maybe it is in a sense, but you've moved away from the gap year, and it's about that transformation, which you mentioned previously.
Yeah, I think it is. I think what's happening now is less the full year abroad and more specific experiences that people want to have. Whether it be an education experience or it's I just want to go and travel this part of the year to go and do this specific experience that I've seen online through an influencer or something that's popped up through an advert online. People are looking for transformational experiences that are driven through sustainable programs that are doing good in the world. Programs that will support people to contribute ethically, but also find connections, real connections. So group programs where people can meet people, have shared experiences, share similar values, and also, of course, do things that are going to challenge them, stretch them. And on the other side of that challenge is huge personal growth, which we offer living in a traditional village. It's incredible living, out in a tiny island, but it also comes with its challenges in terms of a different way of life, different types of foods. I think the gap year has changed a little bit in terms of it isn't just about going abroad and getting drunk on the East Coast in Australia or across Southeast Asia. People are looking for meaningful experiences of belonging and contribution, and doing things that is something that also is going to help to develop them for the future.
Would you say that's, from how you see it, maybe a slight generational shift in that, the younger people today, the Gen Zers, they do look for more authentic experiences. They are a bit more value driven, whether it's the jobs that they choose, the work environments, who they're working for, what they're doing, the way that they are experiencing life. Is that kind of a shift that you maybe see with younger people today, just value and look at things a little bit differently?
Definitely. I think the younger generation are a lot more informed across the board with the access to media and information. So it's not just, and this is something that we're really proud of, is people will come to the organisation well informed of, what makes us quite different is that we're registered in the countries that we work. So we have a registered Fijian charity that's invested over $20 million. We speak to everyone that applies to do a programme. So we're making sure that the people joining the programme are of high quality. And what that means for what we're finding with the young people is they want to be a part of something that's doing good. They also want to make sure that it's going to contribute to their development long term, personally and professionally. Because I think the gap years was all about just having an absolute whale of a time, and be that, just making friends and letting off a bit of steam, and just having really, really cool adventures. We see students now want that personal and professional experience, whilst being very aware of the types of organisations that they're getting involved with. So value, but also values driven, of it being aligned to who they are and what they value.
Yeah, that's amazing insight. That I think really chimes across lots of industries, as we're seeing younger people kind of come into their own, and they're whether they're in the employment market, buyer's market. You've seen a lot of the same kinds of trends kind of filter through into different industries. I guess what's a sort of key transformation that you see in young people that join your programs?
Yes, well, I'd say across the board, because we do take people from kind of 16 up to kind of 23, 24. But across the board, it is for me about the kind of soft skills, so the resilience, the ability to develop confidence. And I think I take myself as an example. When I did my first trip abroad, it helped me to just develop my global perspectives, my cultural awareness, my team building skills, my self-belief. I think ultimately these trips just allow you to believe, if I can go to the other side of the world and engage, make friends with Fijian locals, and make friends with people in my group from all different areas of the world, and contribute to different programs. People come home feeling really, really inspired of what they can achieve, and it opens up doors, it opens up passions, and it really, really develops self-confidence, self-worth, and belief in what we can go on to do. And on top of that, specific skills of what type of programs people might get involved with. But for me, it's all about character, these trips. And whether it's the 2009 gap year of just getting on the plane on your own, saying yes to stretching yourself, it's all about character for me. These young people stepping out of their comfort zone, stretching themselves, knowing that on the other side of stretching themselves is huge personal growth. It's largely the key ingredients to, I suppose, becoming the person that you want to be professionally and personally. And on top of that, something that I find is particularly important in the current world we live in is that civic responsibility and empathy with other cultures and other ways of life. We're finding that to become a really, really important talking point with colleges, universities, schools, of global citizenship, layered on with awareness of sustainability, because our attitude towards sustainability is that through going to different types of places in the world, you can truly deeply understand how your small actions impact other areas of the world. You're seeing global issues in real world time. So yeah, say those.
So yeah, I mean, an amazing illustration of the transformation that I think for a lot of us listening will remember maybe taking that ski trip, or that if you had the opportunity, I know my school had a volunteering experience to Venezuela that it had to be self-funded. That's back in the early 2000s, but it wasn't something that was very mainstream or common to experience, and not accessible for everyone as well, I think. I guess, for school leaders listening in particular, school college leaders, what sort of misconceptions might they have about working directly with yourself on orchestrating this kind of trip for their young people? Do they just suddenly think, oh, what's the cost? Oh, it's going to be this, and are they kind of like exasperated, like, oh, again, that's another one of these?
Yes.
How do you make yourself, clear that smoke, in front of them?
Yeah, well, there's a really cool thing around at the moment, actually, called the Turing Scheme. And it's the UK government's programme that is the old Erasmus, kind of developed into something new post-Brexit, called the Turing Scheme. And personally, something, James, that I am really, really passionate and proud of at the moment. We're not sure about that funding long-term from the government. It might be changing back to Erasmus. But there's something called the Turing Scheme, which we support colleges, schools, universities to write funding bids to the UK Department for Education, help them with that process. You can win some funding, and then we're taking students abroad. And again, this is what's really lighting me up at the moment. We're sending students from, the likes of St Helens, the likes of Doncaster, that have never been abroad before, might not have a passport, to go and experience Fijian villages, Balinese communities, Chiang Mai in Thailand, for a very, very low, highly subsidised cost. So, we're talking maybe £150, all-inclusive experiences abroad for 2 weeks. And so that's my current conversation, it's a little bit different to what it was like a few years ago. So right now, that conversation is amazing. Reaching out to a school to say, would you like to have a chat about trying to take a group of students away for a couple of £100 for 2 weeks? And that's so accessible that the funding's weighted quite heavily towards widening participation background students. But we also do programs outside of that. And yes, that can be challenging of, here's another provider and here's how, what it's going to cost. For us, what we try to do is get that cost as low as possible, and make it clear that Think Pacific is for purpose. We're not setting hugely high fees, so it's completely unachievable. Have fundraising targets and set the programs out in the future, and look at other ways of accessing funding. That there's other sources and grants that are around. But for us, it's about making sure that people are aware that Think Pacific isn't in this we're in this to do good in the world, and we're not aiming to be a big corporate beast with huge overheads. And what's important beyond that as well is that we look to take away the barriers for staff, which is the risk, all the risk assessments, all the guidance. We find those are some of the key barriers as well of how we're going to put this together. So yeah, the Turing Scheme, for any college student, university who might be watching this at the moment, check out that funding. It's amazing. You normally put the bids in around February time and find out in the summer whether you've won some funding. We've got some incredible. We've got students from inner city London coming out to Bali this year. That would a big bunch of them would most likely maybe never been out of Europe. So it blows their mind.
And you can imagine the, you said it at the beginning, but the transformational, impact that will have on a young person's life. If they're coming from, a poorer socioeconomic background, and then suddenly they find themselves in Fiji, in Thailand, and the experiences that they'll gain from that is absolutely invaluable in what that can then bring to their life. I know, and I'm extremely fortunate to have travelled across the world as a youngster. My holidays were never towards, Spain, Benidorm. I never did those as a child. For some reason, it's not because my family are super rich. I ended up in Oman, in Alaska, in Tahiti, and those experiences, fortunate as I was, really opened my eyes and shaped then the future direction that I've taken, and understanding there is a big world out there, right? And to be honest, I feel like it only takes one trip. It just takes one eye-opening trip to shape someone's future.
That's a really good insight, James. That's, for me, when I speak to universities, colleges, schools, and sometimes they might approach this conversation with, well, we need to take our business students to look at business. I don't, the travel is so much more than that. No matter what a young person does, and whether we do a cultural program, a broad program, or a specific, it's about, it touches people. Everyone is massively impacted by going abroad to see different cultures and different ways of life. And that was when I first landed, my first program in Fiji, I landed in Motariki Island, which is about an hour and a half off the mainland of Fiji. We travelled a long time to get over there, and out on a little outboard into an island, into one of the villages I stayed in called Daku. At the time there was no electricity, no hot running water, but wow, I'm massively biased. It is the best place on earth. The people, the most warm and friendliest people you'll ever meet in your life. It taught me so much about life. The way that we might live in the Western world, material things, and the life in Fiji is about who you have and not what you have. And it completely, within a matter of days, significantly changed my outlook on life.
Is that the Fiji program? Is that something you would recommend as maybe a first look for any parents, school, college leaders that are watching that are interested? Would that be your first point of call? Look at the Fiji program.
It's the most kind of extreme and the most challenging, but the biggest challenge brings bigger reward. So it's the one where we do have young people finding it hard. I'd say Bali is the perfect stepping stone because we have an amazing MOU with a traditional community in Bali, which have kind of like guest houses, almost like their own little Airbnbs, but the families serve the food and you get a family traditional experience. Whereas Fiji is remote village, and Bali's kind of in a bit of an urban setting, about 15 minutes south of Ubud. And in Fiji, we go to all the different villages, and it's really rural and traditional. So Fiji is the number one for deep experience. But yeah, it does come with its challenges. It's out there.
Yeah.
But it's so cool. It's so.
Speaking of transformation, of young people joining the programs. We've spoken on previous podcasts about the transformation, the impact that AI is having on industries, on individuals, on the way that we work. I want to pose it to you, Nigel. What impact do you see AI, automation technology having in two ways? One on your work specifically within Think Pacific, but then also on children. Do you see it having positive impacts, negative impacts?
Yeah, so I'll speak for the organisation. Right now we're a very small organisation, as mentioned earlier, so we don't have the huge kind of budgets to be bringing in huge AI influencers, etc. But what we do see in the short term is about efficiencies, so that we remaining with the notion of small and personable. We want our team members to be speaking to people about the most impactful elements. So rather than our team members being, kind of qualified, people that want to have a conversation with Think Pacific can use AI in a really cool way to help them to get to the point of, right, okay, this is why we want to have the most purposeful conversation with you, whether it's customer service or whether it's sales. So for us, it's about, we want to really delve into the efficiencies for our team of all the kind of some of the more day-to-day tasks, but also the efficiencies of a customer service journey, user experience journey, and a sales journey. So that we feel that AI is going to help to bring people to us that want the highest quality of conversations, and we can get the most out of them conversations. We have people kind of contact us, don't really know what it is, not really looked into it, but AI can help that journey amazingly well. Yeah. Personally, for me, I really want to help it to delve into research and understanding of the people that were joining the programs, the future of the market, the future of young people. It's changing so fast. And also marketing, that kind of really want to delve into it in that way. And then for young people, I think AI, but also more broadly tech, I think it's impacting young people in potentially being a little bit less connected to other people and relying so much on the use of AI and the use of, say, social media to have a lack of relationships and a lack of sense of community and belonging potentially, and face-to-face interactions. And that's where we come in and create them friendships by shared experiences and groups. So in terms of young people, I think more tech and more AI is going to help to make Think Pacific programs more meaningful, because we bring people together. And then we're also seeing, I suppose, I just hope AI is used in the most resourceful way by young people and not just to take quick wins. So we're already seeing we're seeing applications for our programs that have clearly just been sent through the AI route, and we want, the moment we see them, the ones that are not AI stand out from the crowd, and the same with job applications, etc. So yeah, my hope is that, I suppose in a more pessimistic view, is that AI doesn't restrict, and tech it doesn't restrict people from creating relationships and connections.
Yeah, exactly. You said that from within the organisation, that's the most valuable thing that you and your consultants can be doing is speaking with people, speaking with groups, speaking with school and college leaders, exactly to get that message across in the most impactful and authentic way on the transformation that these programs will have on your young people, and why you need to use things like the Turing Scheme, why you need to invest the time and effort into getting your young people onto these programs. That's I can imagine, for me, if I was dropped into your organisation, those are the conversations I'd want to be having, and exactly chimes in with a lot of companies that we speak to. It's about freeing up time to have face-to-face conversations as the most valuable and impactful thing that we can be doing in our working lives, and especially coming from a company such as yours that has the potential of such dramatic transformation on the most important people in our society, right?
Yeah, I think that would be the top and bottom. Obviously, AI is there's healthcare and all them amazing elements, but I think relevant to us is how can we spend more time creating genuine relationships with people and being with people, having conversations, and let AI help us to inform them conversations and create efficiencies. And what I will say it's been amazing with is helping us with funding bits. That's one really cool element, is deeply understanding and helping us write really powerful and meaningful ways to generate funding for the organisation.
That's amazing. Yeah, and like you said, for young people, they live in so much more of a connected world that they've become disconnected to people, and exactly the experience that you're providing allows them to find the connection, as it were, right?
Yeah.
Those valuable skills that they need in their life, as well as opening their eyes to the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just super intrigued to see how it goes, and I'm really, really keen to just kind of try and keep my finger on the pulse, really, of as I get older, the distance between, I was going to kind of universities and things when in 2012, 2013, when we were kind of just getting going, and even up to 2018, I'd be at universities and still feel connected to kind of a 21-year-old. Whereas now I'm having to make a real conscious effort to ensure we keep up to date with how young people want to communicate as well. And I think just layering on from that, I think for us is a big impact at the moment is trying to keep up to date with the influencer marketing and how that's impacting how young people make decisions. And it's something I'm going to look at quite soon, really, and then how that integrates and works with AI, and is something that's rapidly changing in the kind of gap year sense and the travel sense is the user-generated content and the influencer marketing, people making decisions by influencers having such a powerful method of communication on helping people make purchasing decisions, on who to trust, so to speak.
Yeah, I was at a travel conference a little while ago where they made it abundantly clear to everyone that there will be a generational shift in buyers, and that will be your Gen Z generation. And guess what? They're not on Facebook. They're on TikTok.
Yeah.
Do you have a TikTok account for your organization? Are you sending out material? Do you know what material that they engage with? And the vast majority of people do not know. And the crux of it was that younger people engage more with raw material, not the glitzy, glammy, highly edited and perfect advertisement. They don't like that. They don't interact with that. They interact with selfie videos, with things that are real and raw. And if you want to engage that market, if you want to get their attention, then you need to be producing material that is what they interact with.
Yeah. That is, yes, what we could not agree with that more, because if you see on our website, we've got a lot of really high quality videos that have been filmed by a member of our community who could have quite easily have been there with their own phone. It's quite ironic, really, that over the years we've built them really high quality videos, and now we sent is a member of our alumni who's doing some editing, and we send him out once a year. We sent him out last year, and he had this big expensive camera and drone. We should have just said, take your iPhone. That's how, because we've created a lot of content that now is almost irrelevant. They want to see the authentic, and that kind of feeds back into the earlier conversation, James, of like the young people and their decision making and what they're looking for. It's to get their trust. They're looking for real, authentic. They're looking for community as well. Organisations that align with their values and community, and that user-generated content is a big part of that. One thing that I'm a bit nervous about, though, is how the influencers being, the advertising structures around how you can bring the influencers. I believe some of them, will only work with organisations that they align with. Some won't be paid, some will be paid. It's a space actually I've highlighted from January to I'm going to really delve into.
Very interesting. I mean, going forward, Nigel, what's the plans for yourself and Think Pacific?
Yeah, so actually this is almost kind of an exclusive, James, to be honest. We're going to delve into the kind of broader tour market. Think Pacific, we want to share Think Pacific with those beyond the ages of 23, 24, 25. So we're just in the process now of making sure all our kind of educational programs for the next summer. We largely do programs across the UK summer period are set up, but we're also going to try and share. We're seeing the market is offering a lot more group tour experiences for people between the ages of 25 to 45. And so we're going to be launching programs for those beyond the age of 25 and come on group tours, which will be cool for us because there's alumni who did our programs that might be 35 now or 40.
Yeah.
So we might have some alumni coming back, but we're going to offer authentic village experiences, programs aligned to community outcomes and national policies, tourism strategies. So really ethical, really responsible, people in small groups that are going to come through a process of making sure we've got the right people in the groups, and then deep, authentic cultural experiences you cannot get anywhere else. We're going to share that with the wider world in the next couple of months.
That is very exciting and amazing to hear. That's really, really that means that I can join. that means I'm included.
Yeah, James, anytime.
Well, I mean, for anyone that wants to reach out directly to yourself, Nigel, or to Think Pacific, what's the best way to contact you?
Yeah, so my email is nigel@thinkpacific.com. Drop me an email. Love to have a chat with anyone interested in just learning more about Think Pacific, who we are, what we do, and how we do it. Like I said, we don't really have any aspirations to be a huge beast of an organisation. We want to be a small, personable organisation that is doing programs across a small range of countries, quality over quantity ultimately, for us. If anyone fancies getting in touch, please reach out.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, in summary, what I've taken from this is that perhaps yes, the gap year is dead in a way, but it's evolved, right? And exactly what Think Pacific are doing is something that is at a higher value experience that can really be transformational for young children, and is not just open to those that can afford it. There is the opportunity there for everyone, and it's real equity in that sense. And those experiences allow children, young people to reconnect at the highest level in a world now that I would say we are increasingly becoming disconnected, ironically, connected online but disconnected offline, and what Think Pacific provide is a means to reconnect in a way that many young people maybe haven't done ever before. Absolutely amazing, insightful conversation, Nigel, and I would really highly encourage parents speaking. Take a look at the programs, take a look at the highest impact program on the Fiji program for schools and colleges. Get in touch with Nigel and see how you can get Think Pacific involved with your school and college program. But absolutely fantastic to have you on, Nigel. Thank you very much for joining today.
Thank you, James. Enjoyed that.
Brilliant. And thank you everyone for joining. Please like and share this video so we can get this message out to as many people as possible. Thank you very much.